Hello everybody, and today I will be doing a guide to what optimal basics are in the Gym Leader Challenge format. So, quick rundown, what is an optimal basic? It's objectively the best version of a given basic Pokemon to play, and it can vary depending on which version of a deck you're running, but the example I have set up here is Mareep. So, Flaffy and Lightning is very reliant on Dynamotor. So, this is basically the only Flaffy that Lightning is ever going to be playing, so there isn't much of a choice. But you need to play a Mareep to evolve into the Flaffy. So there's a bunch of different Mareeps that have differences. One has an ability, one can do more damage, one has 70 HP. So I'll be going through today and helping you decide which is the best for you to play in your deck. So, first thing that you want to look for in an optimal basic is 70 HP, preferably not less, definitely not more. Because Buddy Buddy Poffin is a really good card, which reads search your deck for up to two basic Pokemon with 70 HP or less and put them onto your bench. This is a great setup card. Early game, if you have basics with 70 HP or less, lets you get two Pokemon set up almost immediately. And the other reason 70 HP is so good is because it's like out of certain spread ranges. So Palafin with Jet Punch does 30 to the active and 30 to one of your bench Pokemon. So if you have 70 HP basics, it requires 3 hits from Palafin. So if you struggle to get set up for a little bit, you at least know they won't be KOing your 70 HP basics. And it'll buy you some more turns through that. The main reason I think 70 HP basics are better over 60 HP right now is because the popularity of Raging Bolt with the Thunderburst Storm for a lightning and a fighting. This attack does 30 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon for each energy attached to the Raging Bolt. So if they have 2 energy attached, that's 60 damage and it'll KO any 60 HP Pokemon, obviously. So if you have set up Pokemon that only have 60 HP that you're trying to get your support Pokemon online, the Raging Bolt can just snipe it and take a KO. And Double Dragon Energy allows them to do that for 1 energy, so they can immediately just attach to Raging Bolt and start KOing your 60 HP guys. So it's very important that if you want to get them set up, you play 70 HP. Sableye, another example. Lost Mine lets you place 12 damage counters if you have 10 cards in the Lost Zone. So if you play 60 HP basics, they can KO 2 of them. If you play 70, they can only KO 1, and then they place damage somewhere else, and that gives you time to figure out a way to evolve it and heal it, or just evolve it and take it out of range. The other thing with spread decks in general is they play Echoing Horn and Target Whistle, both of which lets you put a basic Pokemon from your opponent's discard pile onto their bench, so they can bring back your 60 HP Pokemon even after they've been taken out once and KO it again. Next up is Hitmontop. This is in fighting the Hitmon combo deck. Finishing combo does 60 damage to everything on your opponent's side. And if your opponent just has a bunch of 60 HP basics, this can board wipe them, and that can be absolutely devastating. So 70 HP is very important for basic Pokemon, especially if you don't have bench barrier, and a lot of types do not. So next up is retreat cost. This is either you want to minimize it or you want to maximize it depending on the deck. So starting free retreat is a very powerful tool in the Pokemon TCG because you can put up a Pokemon with free retreat and then you can decide what you want to do later that turn. You don't have to commit to using an attacker early. You can promote, say, the Yanma or the Sneasel, both of which have free retreat, and then you can decide what to do later after you've drawn all your cards, after you use your abilities and supporters, and you have more knowledge. U-turn board is another great piece. It can't be discarded from play. If it is, it goes back to your hand. So it also reduces the retreat cost by 1. So this can make any 1 retreat cost Pokemon down to 0. So it essentially acts as a free retreat pivot. And these are all very good. Again, you promote it after something has been knocked out, and then you can move back into one of your other attackers after you get more information on what you want to do that turn. The one thing is, both of these have 60 HP, so it's a bit more dangerous to play in a spread heavy meta. But if you're not expecting too much spread, free retreat is very powerful. And then on the other side of the spectrum, Heavy Ball lets you search your deck for a Pokemon with 3 retreat or higher and put it in your hand. This is good in certain types like Fire and Fighting, both of which have like larger Pokemon that are going to have higher retreat cost. And then specific basics like Fuecoco and Sandygast, neither of them have a 70 HP version of themselves that can be grabbed off of Buddy Buddy Poffin. So if you want to play Fuecoco or Sandygast, you want to go for the one with 3 retreat because you can then play Heavy Ball. And like I said, Fire and Fighting both have higher retreat guys that you can play. So Heavy Ball can get more use than just grabbing this one basic, but it also functions as a way to get this one basic. Ability is next. Now, you may be thinking that abilities are good to have, and they are, but sometimes certain decks don't want to have abilities, and other decks can take advantage of your abilities. So, a really good card that I see Lightning specifically playing is Green's Exploration, where you can only play it if you have no Pokemon with abilities in play, and you search your deck for up to 2 trainer cards, reveal them, and put them into your hand, and then you shuffle your deck. This is in like broken setup card. You can play greens when you have no abilities in play, obviously, and then you can go grab Buddy Buddy Poffin, and you can go grab Nest Ball or a supporter for next turn, Ultra Ball, Evolution Incense, all the setup cards you could want, and then you get set up pretty much immediately. Well, if you play an ability Pokemon, greens loses a lot of its value because if you start that ability Pokemon and you have a bad hand otherwise, then you can't play greens and it's kind of just a dead card. There are a lot of Pokemon that can take advantage of your opponent having abilities on the side of the field. Cofagrigus with Law of the Underworld for 1 Psychic puts 6 damage counters on each Pokemon with an ability. It is both the Cofagrigus players' Pokemon and their opponent's Pokemon. But 6 damage counters is a lot. Goes back to that 70 HP basics versus 60 HP. Um, it's very important that your Pokemon are surviving spread attacks, and Cofagrigus is a very powerful spread attacker. Frostlass is another one with the Freezing Shroud, where during Pokemon Checkup you put 1 damage counter on each Pokemon with an ability, except any Frostlass. So this can continue chipping down at your Pokemon, especially if the water opponent that you're playing against doesn't play many abilities. They can limit the damage on their side, and if you're just playing all abilities, they can really maximize the damage on your side. And then Flapple and Weavile have a similar attack. Flapple has Acidic Mucus, and Weavile has Evil Admonition, both of which do 50 damage for each of your opponent's Pokemon in play that has an ability. That can rack up big damage, especially if you play smaller basics that you haven't quite found the evolutions of. Flapple and Weavile can both pretty easily take out your attacker that you've set up for just 1 energy. So attacks are the next thing that basics, like very good basics, have good attacks. And they don't necessarily have to do damage. You want the attacks to be able to do something to help you play the game. I think the most important one is Call for Family attacks. These are attacks that get Pokemon out of your deck and put them onto your bench, and that's great because it lets you evolve those Pokemon the next turn. I think Gossifleur is a great example of this. It only has 50 HP, and there is a 60 HP Gossifleur that you can play, but this one has Call for Family for 3 Pokemon, so that gets you 3 more basic Pokemon, especially in a type like Grass, where you want to have all your evolving basics down turn 1, and if you don't find the item cards to do that, or the supporter cards to do that, Gossifleur can be a great stand-in. Just attach Call for Family, get 3 Pokemon, and it's a colorless attack cost, so you can even play Capture Energy and get 4 basic Pokemon. I just think the 50 HP Call for Family is really cool. The other attacks, like, they want to get something out of the deck and put it in your hand for next turn. Like, lead Pokemon with the lead attack, get a supporter card. There's, like, Lucky Find gets item cards. There's a bunch of different ones, but I think lead is very good, especially on, like, a Zubat. There is a Zubat with Free Retreat, but it only has 40 HP, so it's not the best. I think lead is very good. Attach Dark, get you a supporter for the next turn. It can get you out of a bricky hand, and it can make your opponent have to find a hand disruption card that they maybe didn't want to play, or they just let you keep the supporter that you just got. And then finally, drawing cards. Typically, collect attacks. You attach an energy and you get to draw a card. It's not as good as Call for Family or like lead style attacks, but it does let you draw additional cards, and the more cards you draw, the more potential that you have of getting out of a bricky situation. So first example is Mareep. So the Mareep on the far left with Fluffy Pillow. Once during your turn, if this is your active Pokemon, you may leave your opponent's active Pokemon asleep. It's very good. It can buy you some time early game. It has one retreat for U-turn board. All around, I think, solid Pokemon. Problem, it has 50 HP. So it does get KO'd by Bolt. It does get KO'd by something like Sableye, or two hits from Palafin, or one hit from Cofagrigus. It's very easy to take out. It's just a little guy. The other Mareep with 60 HP, one lightning does 30 damage, and then you discard all lightning energy from it. And then you have Electro Power, which when you play it, your electric or lightning Pokemon do 30 more damage until the end of your turn. So this can actually let you KO 60 HP Pokemon on the first turn going second, because you can attach Return to Mareep, play Electro Power, and then Shock Bolt is doing 60 damage. So you can take an early KO. If you play something like Muscle Band, you can bring that up to 80 damage and KO whatever is in your opponent's active. Again, problem, it only has 60 HP, gets KO'd by Bolt, Palafin, all the spread guys. And then the last Mareep, 70 HP, great. Problem, 2 retreat. So U-turn board isn't as effective. So it can get stuck in the active, and that isn't great. So I see a lot of people playing any of them. I think depending on which one you're playing, like if you're playing greens, I don't think you play Mareep with the fluffy pillow. The middle Mareep is very solid, especially if you're not intending or like expecting any spread where you're going. And then the final Mareep I think is better for high spread meta fields. Other example is Frigibax. So there is a Frigibax with 70 HP and Collect, but the biggest problem is that it has 2 retreat. The other Frigibax has 60 HP, no Collect, no Call for Family, no nothing, but it has 1 retreat. And this is very good, specifically in water, because you have access to both Hisuian Basculin and Alolan Vulpix. Both of them have a free attack. Basculin has Gather the Crew, where you search your deck for up to 2 basic Pokemon and put them onto your bench, and then you shuffle your deck. And then Vulpix has Beacon, where you search your deck for up to 2 Pokemon, reveal them, and put them into your hand. So both of these attacks are very good in their own scenarios. Basculin's great at getting you set up. Vulpix is great at setting up for the next turn, grabbing your evolution Pokemons. And Water has very good consistency Pokemon, Drizzile, Octillery. Very good consistency Pokemon that you get off of Vulpix's Beacon. And you want to be able to go into those turn 1 going second. And the Frigibax on the left allows you to do that with its 1 retreat, whereas the one on the right has that 2 retreat, and it's more difficult to pivot out. So you would need to find one of your tool cards, like Floatstone or Air Balloon. So thanks for watching. I'll leave a couple links in the description. The official Gym Leader Challenge website, which is a great place to go see some deck lists, see like what staple cards are for each format, or for each type, sorry. And then the Cardboard Warriors website is a really cool place. They have a bunch of different deck lists from other community members, and they have a really cool system where you can make your own deck lists and post them for others to see. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.